This is Doc Luna from Luna13.
And I'm Lilith Bathory.
And this is Interview Under Fire.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of Interview Under Fire. This is Sonny, once again joined by my co-host, Cory Hodges. Cory, how's it going? Thanks for coming back here.
No bad.
And today we are here with bass music scene slayer, as they are commonly known, Dr. Luna and Lilith Bathory of Luna13. It's quite the honor. Thank you both so much for joining our IUF series today. Now, this has been an important yet exciting time in the last 6 months with the release of your latest studio album, GOD.DIS, which dropped this past November on COP International Records. And first things first, I just want to commend you both on all the well-deserved recognition it's been getting so far. You know, shout out to the other revered publications such as Knotfest and Voyage LA, Outburn, to name a few, who have praised your work. There's just so many things to unravel about this latest record and what you guys are all about. But before we get to all that and beyond, I always ask this question. I know we talked about it before the interview started. How are you? How's life in Joshua Tree? I know you guys moved recently, but I think it's an important one to ask considering what's been happening in this last year with all of us. How are you guys?
We're doing pretty well. We've been able to, adjust out here and keep busy with music and making our little quarantine videos. And
yeah, that was one of the things we spent a lot of time because we couldn't be performing live. We decided to focus on videos and just making videos ourselves. And I got to learn how to actually shoot these videos. So that was kind of cool. We used this as an educational experience for us so we could stay relevant while we were not touring.
Okay. Yeah. And now, Doc, I do want to wind the clock back here to maybe several years back to Burning Man 2015, because for listeners and fans who may not know, this all started off as a solo project. If you could just briefly talk about that moment in your life that led to recruiting Lilith and the forming of the official, Luna13 presence into what you guys are today. Does it feel like everything also went by in a blink at the same time?
Yeah, it does. And now it's interesting to talk about bass music because I was in high school a black metal elitist. It was Deicide, Possessed, or Slayer.
I've been there.
So I was actually traveling and I did a layover in London. And I just said, the band The Prodigy is playing. This was like in 2007, 2008. And I heard them live and it literally crossed my mind. What if you do a black metal version of that? The black metal scene was saturated at that time. I was in a bunch of black metal bands. I was a bass player for years. I mean, I started playing bass when I was 13. In India, that I started to learn about electronic music. I couldn't travel with my bass guitar, so I'd have a keyboard instead. And so when I came back from India, I was pretty well versed in how to create electronic music. And we create every single thing that we do. There's no downloading loops and shit like that. I'm a metalhead. This has got to be a live show or we're not fucking doing it at all. So I formulated a way to do this all live. And to be honest with it, I got booked at Burning Man like right away. They even gave me the headlining slot. I sent them a demo of like, this could actually be really cool here. But when I was done performing, the lady that booked me came up and said, that was really cool, yet I wish it was a tad bit more visual. Like if you had like a female up front, that could kind of complete what you were doing. So I had known Lilith prior through friends in the high desert, but I came back, I put out an ad, she answered it. What she didn't know is she was already hired, because she worked at a year-round haunted house. So like scaring the shit out of people. And this project to me, I wanted to be really, really, really dark. So she hopped right in there. And the only thing I said, take the whole stage over. I'm so busy doing what I'm doing live back there. Take over, do what you want. She started doing the vocal samples for a while where I'd loop her in and she would just kind of entertain people. And then she right up said, hey, I would like to actually sing. And she possessed this like amazing black metal voice, like Chuck from Death. She literally, in my opinion, is like a female version of Chuck. And when she started singing, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go full throttle with this. And that's what happened. And ever since she took the stage, Luna13 started to grow.
Yeah, Dr. Luna, you recruited well. I'm gonna add that on there. And I do want to ask, because you guys have been at this for a while already. You know, yeah, in 2015, talk about Burning Man, of course. I wanted to ask, how was the touring life and that live music experience for both of you personally? Because you guys have done some touring since then. You played at Gathering of the Juggalos, if I'm not mistaken. You played with bands like Not Yet.
Not yet, but
okay.
I've been there personally. But we've played with ICP at one of their album release parties for the country, and then also with Shaggy Two Dope at the Whiskey, but no, not yet.
Okay. Having said that hopefully that's something that'll be lined up in the future. So my mistake. Thank you, Lilith, for correcting me. You know, but you've also played with bands, you know, including ICP, bands like Possessed and Doyle, who we've had on IUF, you know, Skin Lab, Insomnium, Mushroom Head. I mean, that list goes on, and we've all been kind of just now forced to take this unexpected step back. And has this time lately made you both develop a newfound appreciation of the live concert experience? Because we can talk about the food, the culture, and the fans all we want. Like, what was your biggest personal takeaway from, you know, live music now that things seem to have a light at the end of the tunnel at the end of this year?
I would say, like, performing live was one of the biggest amazing feeling of community of art that I've ever experienced. Because oftentimes, like, I would draw, I would paint, I've been in a marching band and stuff like that when I was a kid. But like, when we perform, it has such a more profound feeling of community. You have everybody just, you know, feeling the music and enjoying it with you. And we missed that.
Yeah, yes. We missed it. And it does solidify how important that part of life was, you know, because we were at this stage where Luna13 was just getting ready to take off when this pandemic started. We were one of these bands, I think, it could have hurt more than a lot of other bands, because, you know, as a band, you kind of wait your turn, and we saw our turn starting. You know, ICP just plain out asked us to open up for them. After we had bands starting to, like, some of my favorite bands ever, like Possessed. Possessed is literally one of my favorite bands, and even as like a elementary school person, I even stole one of their cassettes in like second grade. I mean, I was obsessed with Possessed when I was a little kid. So we were just having our turn right when the pandemic started. And that was really frustrating for us, because we were like, we might have to start from scratch again, because we were just now starting to hit. And then all of a sudden, you know, we went into the pandemic.
And, you know, Cory, did you want to go and chime in there?
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, in my opinion, like, when I'm thinking about the whole pandemic and whatnot, I think when the music scene starts back up, concerts are a go, I'm seeing more and more building up this year. I feel like there's going to be there's going to be so much. So even if, like, you might have to step back a little bit, like, you're going to get back to, you know, to where you guys were before pretty quick, in my opinion. Plus, like, in my you know, just being honest, like, I haven't heard of you guys before, and I have a friend who's really big into black metal, and he's actually part of IUF as well. But he was like, you guys have to get these people on. They are, you know, they're just amazing, right? And this guy he's a metalhead from, you know, years back. I mean, he's like in his late 40s, right? So he's been listening to metal for forever. So that's something big. I you know, just to let you guys know, that's something big for me, to know that he, you know, really enjoys your music. And so I don't think there's going to be such a big problem with that.
Thank you for that. I'm glad to hear that, though. I listen, I know I am genuine with bass music. Like, I joke, we listen to bass music in the day and it's black metal at night, man. When that sun goes down, it's King Diamond, Slayer. I will always go check out the new black metal bands that are out there. And for me personally, creating this music, we're not expecting someone that loves Morbid Angel just to freak out over this band, yet we do want to see if we can get in there and hit some of those fans. I believe because I'm such a genuine metalhead that that's going to come through our music. And we are watching that happen. And I think that has a lot to do with us because we are genuine with this. This is even the darker stuff. This is all really a part of our world. It's a natural part. We're not trying to entertain.
To look around our house.
Yeah, we have people that are terrified. Like we're constantly dealing with people that are afraid of us. I mean that literally.
We're vegans. Harp none, but take no shit.
Right. Meanwhile, we are practicing witches. This is a part of our life. It's one of the reasons we love living out here in Joshua Tree. So when we started playing shows where people were saging us, they were afraid of us.
The place out after we played.
2 shows, people were saging us. Well, we love sage. We're like, hey, fuck, we're witches. Sage the fuck out of the place.
No, it's like you guys are helping us out.
When that started, we knew we were going to kind of hit because people were really showing a fear about this band. Even when it came to booking shows, there was a place in Texas that said, you're a little bit too dark for us. And then they booked like Tomb Mold the week after. I'm like, how in the hell are you going to book Tomb Mold and not LUNA13 because we're too dark? But that's kind of the energy that we're throwing out around right now.
Well, go ahead, Cory.
In Fort Worth, I was part of the music scene as well. We did hip hop black metal. It was something that we did for fun or whatever. But there's tons of. You were speaking on the year round. Haunted houses, like there's tons around here, right? Especially in Fort Worth. And I've seen a lot of people get into the music scene through that, through the haunted houses, right? So I think horror in that area is like a big part of the music scene here. And from what I've gathered, right? Like it's a big thing. So like, but I think it's really interesting because like, you guys are just living your life through your music, right? Like you're just being yourself. Right.
It's not an act. We are very genuine with what we do and what we say.
Yeah, I mean, horror. I'm pretty sure horror is a big part of Lilith's life. I'm sure yours too as well. So it's really good to hear. It's really good to hear that you guys are sticking to your roots, not I guess for lack of better words, not being sellouts.
Yeah, we love doing what we love. And if other people love it, that makes it even more meaningful. And if they don't like it, that's cool. I mean, everybody's got their own preferences.
We're going to do this no matter what. The whole process of even creating art, I love this style of creating music. I mean, I create the drum patterns that we do. I mean, everything we create. Every single stage of it. And so it's a very powerful artistic expression, but we live this. And horror, by the way, I love horror fans. And even if they don't like the bass music element, like when I lived in LA, we would go to the silent theater at midnight to watch and just stay up watching horror movies. And the horror movie audience might be one of my favorite audiences out there.
You can connect with everybody.
You connect with the horror element, and that's a real powerful thing. Like Evil Dead franchise is my thing. It's like I wish Bruce Campbell would run for president one day. It's like we're huge in horror.
So just a suggestion, to maybe something to look into. There is a big horror convention here in Texas called Texas Frightmare Weekend. And they like every time I've been so far, they've had like live music. So that might be something that you guys might want to look into.
They will fit right in. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Texas Frightmare.
We would love that.
We're down.
Yeah. And kind of just, you did briefly touch on this. Well, not briefly, like you really did talk about this, considering the fact that you two have these gripping aesthetics on performing strong live shows. You guys are heavy on theatrics. Does it feel like you're taking on, these different personas when you're playing live as well? Like, does it help with the presentation of who LUNA13 is?
Oh, yeah. Much like, when working in the haunted house, I mean, you really just like, it's so fun. Much like, when you were a kid and you'd play dress up or play a character or like, chase your friend around the yard with a stick, pretending you have like, you know, a sword and like some,
now I know what you were doing.
That's exactly what I was doing too.
I know, but when you're using your imagination and all that good stuff, like it really is like you feel so a part of like your own, like, I don't know, horror movie. You're in the character, you're bringing it to life, you're bringing each song its own story and being able to interpret it visually. And I mean, I really love, like, you know, special effects for like movies and stuff like that.
She also makes her own costumes. She makes every single thing that she wears live. All of it she makes.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen the footage. I've seen the music videos. You do an amazing job, Lilith, with the aesthetics and just the presentation. I think I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Doc, but I was going to say it. I think Cory also kind of touched on it because it feels like I said, I went to film school, right? So portraying the music in a visual presentation, I love it when bands can do that, and you guys do it so well.
Thank you.
It is the throne of Hades behind you. I call it the throne of Hades, my facade. And the goal is for me to kind of possess that feeling of Hades live. I mean, and for her to actually genuinely be a Lilith character, it's something that's very genuine for us. Yeah.
You know, it's something to look for. It's always nice to have things like this to look forward to because we've interviewed so many amazing, talented people like yourselves. But then talking to you guys, it's like I couldn't be looking more forward to like a live show than talking to you guys. You know, now I want to bring you guys here to Texas now, or just go out there and see you guys perform this live and just show what you guys are all about. Now, you guys did put out GOD.DIS. I know we haven't touched on this yet. I can't believe it's been half a year since that dropped. You know, you released it on COP International. Now, COP International, let's talk about them because that's your newest label. You know, it's home of bands like Stabbing Westward and Deathline International, Suicide Queen, to name a few. What is it like signing with such a renowned label like those guys?
It's actually been awesome. I mean, especially like, I mean, working with them and Selena, like she knows exactly how to market us. And like, I mean, it's finally like people like, you know, understand what they're working with and they're like, let's do this. So
we were with Cleopatra before.
Right.
And we were yes. one album, you know, Cleopatra was like, you can stay with us. We give you just as long as you want. We wanted a little bit more hands-on. We wanted a label to kind of get in there, pay attention to us because, you know, I'm a fan of this whole scene that we're in. And I knew that if we got into the right hands, the right people, and got a little bit of a push, we would expand. And when Selena, our publicist, she passed our stuff on, and we were so excited for me to do this music and to see Decibel and Knotfest compliment me personally on creating this style of music. I mean, we were just blown away by it. I mean, it's like we get to own that now for however long this project exists, which it's going to be around for a long time.
Till we can't move anymore.
Because we live this, we're not caught in the other pressures that other bands are. Like, we got to make a living. We're artists, man. We're going to be out there doing this because we love expressing this art. And wherever this thing goes, it goes. We're still going to be there doing this shit no matter where this thing goes, because I love every stage of this process, like from the creating music to the touring. And, you know, we're going to be around because we're not putting the pressure on this band. Like, we got to make it. We are already happy with where we're at. We want it to grow. We want to play bigger shows. But if it stayed right here, we would be doing this for the rest of our lives. You know, we're going to do this until we're dead. This is not a project where I even see us in like 10 or 15 years going more witchy and actually even using age to kind of make this thing look dark. I mean, we already have that in mind because we want to live this all the way through to the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys keep doing this for as long as you want to do it. I think you guys have something amazing that's happening here. I mean, you talked about I don't know if we talked about the sounds, but like I love the creative distortion, those dominant grooves, even those cyberpunk elements thrown in there. I mean, and of course, good guy. I mean, Lilith is just a perfect cherry on top of all this. Like, because the chemistry between you both is just uncanny. And Doc, you said that GOD.DIS is our most complete release. So I start to think, like, walk us through this. Like, what even is your thought process on creating something like GOD.DIS, or even with, you know, Dark Horse or Wicked Gods, when you sit down to write or create a piece of music? Like, do the lyrics come first this time around? Instrumental parts? Like, there's already a specific sound you knew you had in mind with this? I know it's a loaded question, but there's just so much I want to put out there.
To start, he's asking about the music part.
Well, there's a sound that I've been wanting to create, and I had to go through several albums just to start to get to the sound. Like, I take very low sub bass. I used to create with a bass guitar first. I create bass riffs and then translate that on a synthesizer. Now I'm more advanced with the synthesizer, so I go right to that. But there's a very specific sound I'm trying to create, which I wrap distortion around sub bass. And sub bass that you normally wouldn't be able to detect with your ear because it's too low. I keep wrapping distortion around it until that sound becomes visible. Now, that in itself, we've destroyed sound systems because of this. We played a couple of shows where the sound system dropped within 10 seconds of us starting. Like, we'd come on and because we believe we're one of the heaviest sounds you can actually create. And there's where the technology comes in, where I knew if I used technology to create a heavy sound, that it would be hard to compete with that, especially in the bass music world. So I write songs. My brain doesn't stop writing music. My brain writes music constantly. So I create a song, and I even have from the beginning to the end already established in my head. And I'll sit down, I'll create that song, and then I give the song to her and say, do what you want with it. She does all the lyrics and all that stuff. She does what she wants.
Rarely he'll have like a few lyric ideas, or especially for his own voice, but because occasionally, you'll hear the little or like
that low voice.
Yeah, that really low
that's my voice.
Yeah. That's him. And but afterwards, it's I listen to the music and sort of, I guess, get the idea from how the music feels, how it kind of like plays out in my mind, what kind of imagery, what kind of yeah.
We also, when she came in, I was like I love Ginger, but I was like, I personally want like a female baby Chuck from Death. That's what I personally want. I don't want it to be where one day, we're singing ballads and, because there's a girl in the band, it's getting soft. I'm like, I want Chuck all the way through to the end. And even what we're creating right now, we're already working on another album right now.
That's right. I did hear about that.
Her voice in what we're doing now is it's literally like Al Jurgensen and Chuck from Death put together, and it had a baby. There was a daughter. I think
I'm going to quote that. I'm going to quote that right now. I'm going to make sure I say that.
You can quote it because we've actually discussed it. I said, I'm looking for Al Jurgensen meets Chuck from Death, female daughter of those two. And she's, I think right now, showing the best of that ever, which in our next release, you literally hear Chuck in her voice.
It's so funny you mentioned Ginger. That's actually the first band I ever interviewed. And it's the way that kind of just rounds a circle. The sound that you're talking about, to me, like when I heard it, like it sounded so evil. I absolutely loved it. It's so raw, so pure. There's no mistake why you guys are called Bass Music Scene Slayer. I mean, this is what metal is. Like, I heard everything I wanted to hear. I'm such an audiophile these days. I'm very picky on how I want to hear my music, the way I want to hear it. You've tapped into every single one in my brainwaves with the sound here. So as far as like the producing and mixing and mastering, I'm assuming you did it all yourself, Doc. Is that correct?
All by myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be the one that has that final say that that's the song, that's the sound I wanted to create. But I will tell you, with GOD.DIS, it was the most developed sound we had created yet. What we're doing right at this moment is going to surprise people of how much darker we just got. And, a lot of people say, like Metallica saying, well, we're going to release the heaviest album next. A lot of people say that shit. I don't think Metallica is going to release their heaviest album ever. I don't. We can validate that we're going to because of the science of electronica. We use, instead of a lot of 140, 120 BPM, we're on 240, this album that's coming out. So it's faster, it's lower, and her voice sounds like a female Chuck meets Al Jurgensen. I mean, and so we can guarantee our next release being the darkest one we've done.
Every time you're talking about something new, Lilith is always looking over at you. I'm like, you guys are gonna have to give me something here, because this is, I can't wait for this to come out.
I'll send you some stuff. I will.
That would be amazing, because you getting like, I mean, you talk about goosebumps. I mean, you're pretty much tapping in every single one of those for me, at least when you're talking about what's to come for LUNA13 down the road. Cory, did you want to add something else before I head on to the next subject? Because the next subject is actually a big one.
Yeah, I mean, well, so I was really interested. I worked a lot with the Juggalo scene. Okay, I caught some of you guys' interviews and stuff, so I learned a little bit about the relationship there. But how did that come about? Like, did you guys, like, your first time opening for ICP or who, or whatever in the Juggalo scene?
Just the Juggalo community as a whole.
Just in general. Like, were you part of it before doing music, or how did that?
Yes.
Not doing music, but I when I was I went to the Gathering. I went to the show.
That's a whole different world, I gotta tell you.
Right after some surgeries, I went out and got Twisted's Independence Day. And I just I've this whole world of like very accepting people, and so we actually musically just we often played at the Whiskey because we lived around the corner from it at the time. And Shaggy Two Dope was playing, and we're like, hey, if you guys are cool with us being on the bill, we'll play. And so we played that show, and somehow that led to us getting on the bill for the Fearless Fred Fury release. And when we get there, we were prepared to just be one of the bands on the list. And yet somehow about half an hour before we're supposed to, before going on, now that or different time now, they're just like, oh yeah, so you guys are going to be like going on right before them, and you're opening up.
They bumped us to the co-headlining slot when we got there. We went from just being happy to be one of the bands on the bill to when we get there saying, guess what, you guys are co-headlining.
No pressure at all, right?
Now,
no pressure.
Also, let me address, I'd never even heard an ICP song before she came into my life. I was literally...
I brought him in.
The Juggalo scene, which is...
I can't... Did you guys cut out, or...?
I think they cut out just a little bit there. I can see y'all, but I can't hear y'all. I think it may come back in a second. Oh, okay. I still see them. I think you're fine. Yeah, they're back. They're back. Cory, come back.
I'm coming.
Cory, he just left.
I was just making sure. I was making sure it wasn't on.
He doesn't usually do this, guys. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so she brought the. I'm now into that scene and listen to it, but I was so involved in metal and stuff
in India.
Right, I didn't really get into the scene, and so it's actually really cool when you get into a scene that's already existed, because all that music you're getting into for the very first time, like Twisted as an example.
Yeah.
We would now I'd never even heard of Twisted before she came into my life.
We just interviewed Twisted just 2 weeks ago. Great guys.
And they're awesome, but it's so awesome at this stage to go back and even hear the old stuff and hear it for the first time now and go, oh my God, I'm a fan of a whole genre of music that I was so involved in metal, I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. And like the cool thing about that scene is like they are very accepting. So it's not like a genre based scene really, to be honest. But if you guys are planning on doing the Gathering, like if, is there any like preparation? You've been to the Gathering before, so it's a totally different crowd. Bottles of Faygo are flying everywhere. Not only just everywhere, but on stage with love. Right? It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. They throw bottles at you because they love you.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
be prepared. It's not like we might not be their cup of tea, but it also just might be like just natural like excitement.
We had 2 shows that we played that before we went on, we actually prepared to be booed. The Juggalo opening for
not often
ICP
people's thing.
and opening for Possessed because of the black metal audience. I was a black metal elitist, so I know the consciousness there.
Coming in with all of our electronic.
Now, the result was the audience for ICP chanting family after we were done. We got a standing ovation when we played for Possessed. That audience loved us too. And that's when I kind of knew there was something special going on.
We can play with anybody.
In the same month, we opened for ICP and Possessed and had really good responses from both crowds. That's when I said there's something, we're on to something.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun for us because we had stages where when we would go on, we'd clear audiences. Like the goth scene in LA, there were shows that we played and we terrified them where by the time we were done, it was empty because blood would start flying, the wings would come out, and the sound that we would produce. We didn't even mind those shows. We'd laugh, but we just cleared the whole fucking place. We played an all ages show once, and parents.
We didn't plan it that way.
We didn't plan it. We're running down and grabbing their kids and running out of the building with their kids, and every single kid was taken by their parents.
Oh my God!
That was before the burlesque. That was before.
Yeah.
So it was just a Satan.
By the way, I think today is also Goth Day, isn't it?
It is Goth Day.
Yeah, so happy Goth Day. This is the perfect time to do this. Speaking about what you guys display on stage, between writing and structuring the songs or the production process like we just talked about, because this is something that really resonated with me, and I was thinking about it. The lyricism throughout GOD.DIS, it deals with, you touched on it briefly, witchcraft and nuclear war and modern conspiracy theories. There's also a good amount of the dark trends of 2020 that were brought into this. Additionally, there's also this message of, female empowerment incorporated within. You have a song like Sekhmet, which, I absolutely love that song. Taps into Egyptian mythology, looking into powerful warrior-like women and better articulating their creative narrative and their artistry. So I wonder, how important are themes to you guys, and to what level do you like to have a theme or a concept for your music? Is that more about helping you write or sound, or is that more for the audience? Because there's a lot of artists who don't really care about themes. They just do 10 songs in the studio and that's it. But I felt like with you guys, with LUNA13, you guys really went outside the box as far as getting that message or getting that tone, out there. And I heard that.
Well, again, it comes down to doing what we love. We really love doing it that way. And to find out that people have such a great experience from that is really it really touches us because it's our art. That's our yeah.
It's true. What you don't know is right behind this computer screen is our altar with a real human skull. Let me introduce you to Harold. This is Harold. He's a real human skull.
Let me enlarge the screen here. Oh man. Hey.
The funny thing about that is that's not the first human bone we've had on IUF. Suicide Silence had a middle finger.
Well, check this out. Now, if you want to see something real creepy, this is my mala, which I use to chant mantras. That is a finger bone, and this is made out of chipped human skull bone.
Oh, wow.
Right here. So this is a finger bone.
Holy crap.
And this is what and now, meanwhile, by the way, we're not violent people. We want we want everyone to be happy.
Right,
we're not. Now we have that, a lot of our songs are about really just, let's knock people off with witchcraft. Let's get rid of them. We have this kind of intense witchcraft thing.
The love of horror.
But that's the love of horror.
Yeah.
Let's be scary witches that go around knocking people off for no reason. That's some of our songs are even like that. But all of this stuff, I lived in India, and I'm what you call an agora. An agora is a type of spiritual practice where you only meditate on darkness.
Yeah.
The belief is you're already light. It's your darkness that doesn't know it. So forget about the light, only focus on your shadow. So there's a whole philosophy around our darkness, which is one of the reasons why we're always going to stay dark, is because there's a spirituality behind it that I believe is really positive, which the more you can accept your shadow self, the more you can accept all of yourself. And so these types of philosophies are going to keep this band right at the edge of darkness all the way through.
I feel like we could go down that rabbit hole even further. I was actually born in Bangladesh, so I actually have family from India. How long were you in India, honestly?
I've been to India
off and on like
34 times.
Okay.
I've been to India. Well, let me just real quick say that I was in a band and my health fell apart. So I started going to India to recover my health. I got into Ayurveda.
Okay.
I became a Kali worshiper in India, a full-fledged worshiper of the goddess Kali, who's right behind this computer screen. And I did all that to overcome my fears of death and dying because I was given a diagnosis that could have been terminal.
Yeah.
And so this is now I did recover and I did heal from it, but the way I experienced darkness there actually changed me. And I realized it was a higher part of my nature, not a lower side. And the only way I could express it was through music. That was it. And so LUNA13 has a real true philosophy behind it and about the power of darkness, but I don't want to say from a positive perspective, but it's the best outlet you can have for the darkest part of you is music. And that is where we believe your shadow self should be expressed through music because it's harmless there and can even entertain the fuck out of people. So we really unleash our dark energy there because we believe that's what creativity is for.
Do you see GOD.DIS as a snapshot of where you are in a certain time in your life looking back?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we really, I mean, we didn't have much else to do other than focus in on music and pay attention to everything that was going on in the world and, try our best to, do what we can. But, it really is almost like a movie reel of that year for us.
That's true. GOD.DIS is, we're going to remember this one forever because of because I did once have to leave the music scene because of something that was out of my control, which was my health. And so the pandemic, when it started, that whole our turn coming thing bothered me, but so did the fact that I could be snuffed out of music again from something that wasn't my decision. Something else. So there were some pretty grave feelings that were going on around it. And that was the reason why I said, I have to stay creative throughout this thing because I've actually had to walk out of music, not because of my own desire before. And here it is again, where that potential was looming around. But so we also then saw that a lot of bands were kind of checking out through the pandemic. We also said, you know what, let's use this time to kind of stick out as well.
It's not an easy thing to do to step away from what you really love doing. And I'm no stranger to what you just said, because I've had my shares of a lot of doctor's visits and, taking breaks in between. And Cory knows this, we had to take breaks, just because I had to focus on my health. It's not an easy thing to do because, you want to focus on what you're creating, but you got to take care of yourself first before you actually go back in and work on your craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was
health and mental health first.
Yeah. And so that's the whole element of what LUNA13 is and what it stands for. We can see, I even think spiritually, there's kind of even a need for these types of discussions. I don't think people understand darkness. I don't think people understand what this stuff is really about because of the, Christianity, which I have a real extreme problem with because of the duality. You're only given an option of God or Satan, where like in the East, there's a whole gray area of in between, which I like sitting in that in between state. And so does she.
All different natural energies.
Right. We believe that even the spiritual element of LUNA13 has a certain necessity at this point.
Yeah. From the different experiences and perspectives and your timelines that each of you have taken in, which we have discussed about so far, playing for as long as you have and the people you have met and worked with doing these records, including the multiple touring cycles, with different bands, signing with COP. And it sounds like you still have much left to put out there with LUNA13's artistic vision and yours. This is definitely something that you guys have a passion for. And the truth is from what I'm seeing, you've experienced plenty already in your career, Doc and Lilith, and then some, have your aspirations as individuals or musicians even, have they changed or evolved since when you first started performing music in the industry? Do you see things differently today?
Yes. Well, me personally, I don't know if you wanted to touch in more on that, but.
Yeah, no, for me, it's this particular project is what is motivating. And another reason why I'm going to test this band's going to be around for a long time is because my brain doesn't stop creating music, you know. And in that time of going to India, now I was going to India 5 to 7 times a year just for Ayurveda and health and all these other various things that were going on. When I got healthy again and went back into music, meanwhile, at the time, I was also going, shit, I'm already now in my mid-30s. You know, I started LUNA13. You know, you have an elder goth here and a little baby bat right here for Goth Day. You have both genres right here in front of you. But, you know, when I got back into music, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm generally at that age of people start checking out of this thing. And yet my brain doesn't stop creating music. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go right back into this thing. And because of where I was at and what brought me back into it, that feeling of being burnt out of this whole scene and music, it just is not going to exist for us. I believe that, you know, like I keep saying that, you know, we got a long time to express because I can already feel 100 to 200 songs in my head still. And I'm not finished until those songs are finished. And I don't care what age I'm going to be at that point. And also, thank God for metal. Nobody talks about it much, but metal just changed the whole age genre right in front of everybody, and nobody's even talking about it. It's like these older bands came back and have been killing it. I mean, like destroying it. And they're not coming back with the sense of like, oh, we're going to give it one more last hurrah. You know, bands like Possessed, you hear them saying, we came back and we're riding out to the end, and it's a new consciousness that's there now. And I've even had to say to myself, if you're going to use age or anything like that to tap out of music, you're not a fucking artist then. There's a lot of excuses not to do this. They're all gone with me. I don't have them anymore. I've had to confront all of that shit already. And so now it's like this is officially a lifestyle. I do like the fact that we're a decade apart. You know, I do like the fact that, you know, she gets to express youth here. That really does matter to me. But I'm really happy with where the music world is going. As you can see, it's expanding its dimensions to embrace a hell of a lot more. And I think we're going to play a role in that.
I begin to wonder if you guys weren't musicians, what would you be doing right now? Has that ever crossed your mind?
Personally, I was really into, you know, special effects stuff, theater.
Awesome. Just like me.
Movie making, all that kind of stuff. But like also the medical field, I got my certification for phlebotomy, and I wanted to go further with like, you know, medical and science stuff, but there's a lot of personal things on that. So I mean, really, the art world is what actually, like, surprisingly, you know, is my, you know, main love, and yet it became something that, you know, I could keep doing rather than just doing on my own.
Now, I, on the other hand, just on a side note, I run an occult business on the side. So it's a successful business. So we can tour and everything. I don't even bring up money and shit like that when we tour but that's not my, you know, the only thing I've ever been able to do to fully express my true self is music. And I do run an occult business on the side, and it does very well, actually. And I've been doing that for years. Ever since I came back from India, I had opened up this occult shop under another name. You can't Google it. You can't find me in it. And it allows us to tour and do whatever we want. That takes care of itself. So I feel fortunate that, I do run a business already dealing with just the occult. But again, this is the only thing I do that fully satisfies who I am and allows me to complete who I am. I can't even be my full self over there either.
It's always nice to like hear something like that, you know, like other interests that feeds your creativity within, you know, a group like yourselves. So I love that what you guys are doing. I hope you keep doing it. Cory, do you have any last words you want to like put in here?
Yeah. One more. What is y'all's favorite horror movie?
Oh, obviously that I knew that question was going to come. I don't know why we asked that earlier. Go ahead.
Would you want me to start with that one? You know,
time picking favorites.
There's a couple. I do like The Evil Dead. Are you guys still there? I see.
Yeah. We're here. You guys.
Yeah, we're here.
Evil Dead is my favorite franchise. I'm looking forward to. I even love the Army of Darkness, but even Ash versus the Evil Dead. I mean, I'm a huge fan of that. But Friday 13th franchise. I mean, It Follows. That movie I really liked when it came out. It Follows had a little creepy element to it of the 80s in it. But I have to go with the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah, how old is It Follows? It Follows it's not too old, is it? It's like several years back when it came out.
Yeah.
She was into Hellraiser when her first present from me for joining Luna13 was a Pinhead bobblehead.
That's awesome.
And also the Hellraiser movies. I really love old classic black and white horrors as well, Boris Karloff's The Mummy, and I really have a special place in my heart for Frankenhooker.
Frankenbox, yeah, that's a winner.
Yeah, I mean it's all over the place, but I really love even supernatural and ghost horror movies and
And Boris Karloff, he's my fave.
Oh,
I'm more on the sci-fi side of things. If I were to pick my favorite horror film, it would have to be Alien. I mean, that movie gets mentioned nonstop. I mean, sometimes I would even watch just Alien and Aliens back to back, because as far as the complementary on how the movies give each other, that's just the perfect 1-2 punch as far as giving the horror and sci-fi all together. But I could talk about those movies forever. My favorite horror. No, go ahead.
One of our attractions, not to interrupt you, sorry, but one of our attractions to moving to Joshua Tree was our interest in alien activity, real alien activity. We even recently just posted on my Facebook page some orbs that were shooting around Joshua Tree.
Big orb going past our window.
Yeah, we took pictures of it.
Pictures all the time.
That you guys are definitely tapping into my neighborhood right here as far as what I'm all about.
If you want to see aliens, you come out to Joshua Tree. There was a point where almost every night, because I'm up until 3 a.m. at least every night, and around 2 to 3 a.m. in Joshua Tree, weird shit just starts floating in the air. And there's even a mountain right across from. We live on the top of a mountain, so we get to overlook the entire Joshua Tree forest. And there's a mountain that they land in. And we were like, what the hell? They keep landing in that mountain. But you can't get there. It's too far out. I've already tried.
Let me tell you this. Stick around for just a minute after the interview, because here's the thing. I'm going to plan to venture out there in LA soon. That's my second home. Let's stay in touch. I'd love to see what you guys are all about as far as the Joshua Tree and just that whole experience. I mean, this is my calling right here. This is what I love to do as far as science, astronomy, just searching for we're definitely not the only species here. Obviously, there's so much more out there. I'm going to tell you just a quick little side note. My favorite horror film of all time is 28 Days Later. Because
we watched it a couple days ago.
I just watched that movie recently. I mentioned this a lot in my interviews, actually. Now that I think about it, 28 Days Later, obviously, the listeners out there know this is one of my personal favorites. But Danny Boyle, the way so many movies took from that, I think, especially today with the whole, of course, Walking Dead. We could talk about that forever. But as far as a zombie film, pandemic, I think that was the most realistic display on what it could actually seem like. That opening scene when, Killings is standing in that in a highway, just an empty highway, and you see Big Ben just in the distance. I get chills just thinking about that. And that what I'm trying to say here is that it's the same thing with your display when you guys put your music out there, the goosebumps, the feeling that you get. It's because anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So that's my favorite horror film of all time. I mean, I have other films out there, but just wanted to point that. But
again, we love it so much. We just watched it again a couple days ago.
It's so good. It's so good. I remember the first time I saw it as a kid. It terrifies me that terror still stays with me. So if a movie can do that, or if a band can do that, there you go. If it sticks with you, you're doing something right. So it's awesome what you guys are doing. But I know this has been almost an hour-long conversation. But do you guys have any last words? Just any shout outs? Just anything you'd like to plug in or mention as far as Luna13 or GOD.DIS or I know you have a new album in the works, or maybe a new music video. I don't know what you can and cannot talk about.
True.
We just did a bunch of work on the new website, through a bunch of new stuff to be added to it. And
Yeah, we're we just said let's get a little bit darker. Let's
LUNA13official.com.
And so LUNA13official.com, we just opened up where you can go buy some new merch that we put out.
The lyrics.
We just put out a much darker logo version of ourselves.
Yeah. I forgot. I know I'm interrupting you, but there's a movie that's out with Danny Filth, and that features your song on there. I can't believe I never even thought of that until now. If you want to talk about that.
We didn't even know that we were in that movie until Danny Filth tags us and directly speaks to us like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Cory, did you know this? Did you know about this, Cory? Yeah. Baphomet. I think, what is it? Baphomet? Is that the name?
Baphomet the movie, yeah.
Yeah, the song Tried Death is on the soundtrack thanks to Cleopatra Records.
Dude, yeah, Cory, look this up, man.
Wait, you guys had no idea your music was on the...
Yeah, no, they just surprised us with
Danny Filth tagged us, and then we knew. That was like 2 weeks ago.
This is Astaroth.
Here's a real demon right here.
Mine's not a demon, but I'm gonna show you him anyway. I adopted him last year. His name is Rocket. He's sitting outside the door right now.
Oh.
He's an Australian cattle dog. He's always like,
my brother.
Yeah, so he's always like scratching on the door, thinking I'm yelling during my interview. So that's why the door is like shut here. So
I have bad allergies, and so all we have is the trash.
But Cory, you have 4 kids, so you got your hands full.
We have
you could get a lizard or something like that.
Well, we have a tarantula.
Oh,
yeah, there we go. That works.
My daughter actually picked it out, and I was like, cool. So,
man, like I said, guys, stick around just for a minute after the interview. Everyone who's listening, this is the talented Dr. Luna and Lilith Bathory of LUNA13. Obviously, we got to do the sign off, right? That's how interviews end. GOD.DIS is out now on COP International Records. Please, if you could, you're listening, buy their records if you can. Obviously, the artists can't do it without your help. I still buy records that's sitting in the corner of my room. Be on the lookout. And where can people follow you guys as far as your socials, like Facebook, Instagram, everything else in between? I know you mentioned that new website, Lilith.
We have LUNA13 official in the Instagram, and then of course LUNA13 on Facebook, Twitter, and I have Lilith Bathory official Instagram.
She has an OnlyFans page. You got to go check that out.
Hey, that's a big deal.
Where can you find a band like us where the lead singer has an OnlyFans page? So keep that in mind.
LUNA13.
Give all the support you can, because OnlyFans is just as important, especially at a time like now. Just do that. And I was going to say you can.
Being their own bosses.
We're Instagram.
Or anybody being their own boss.
We do use Instagram the most. That's where we do most of our work.
Okay. I'll make sure we give you guys a follow on Instagram, and everyone who's listening, you can listen to this podcast on every major podcast stream out there. We'll not only be on YouTube. You can also check us out on interviewunderfire.com. Dr. Luna, Lilith Bathory, this has been such an honor. I hope I'm looking for the day we meet in person. What's that skull's name? I forgot the name.
Harold.
And Harold. I can't wait to see you all in person. We can talk about the time we did an interview during the pandemic and brighter times ahead. Cory, thanks so much, my man, for joining again. Can't wait to do this with you. All of us getting together in person. And I'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much for bringing us on.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.